How to Roleplay a Warlock Patron, Part 5, the Hexblade. This one I feel is a criminally underserved roleplay opportunity by a lot of people out there. And the reason I maybe am a little bit biased about it is because I've seen so many paladins do a 1-level dip in Hexblade for the min-max lulls. But let's not get distracted on my own little soapbox. Let's talk about roleplay. There are two main ways to go about this, I think, for Hexblades. One is that you are literally role-playing the sentience of a sentient weapon. I think it is kind of the coolest option here, because it's the most unique. Sentient weapons are this staple of high fantasy lore that I think is something that really needs to be leaned into, especially if the player is on board. If the player is thinking that they want, like, a sentient weapon, lean into that. How did they find the sentient weapon? What was their first encounter with? Do they have it on them? Is it in like a dormant state? You could totally do like Vestiges of Divergence style, having the sentient weapon be with them from level 1, and it gets more and more powerful along with the Warlock as they're leveling up. In terms of role-playing that weapon, treat it like any other NPC. They should have a background. Why is that sentience attached to that weapon? Was it the old wielder whose sentience is, like, their soul is in the weapon now? Or was that weapon just thinking from the beginning, like, magic constructed that sentience? If it's the latter, consider it being more of like a constructy kind of sentience, like AI almost. Either way, definitely look at the sentient weapons that are in the DMG and other magic item tomes. They should give you really good ideas for how to exercise those role-playing opportunities. You want to be able to bring the conflict and the dialogue constantly to the front of what that Warlock is doing, especially if they have the weapon on them. The other way to do this that is mentioned in the lore is they have bonded themselves. The actual patron is not a sentient weapon. It is the shadowy force that makes up the magic of sentient weapons. This is typically attached to the Shadowfell lore. It has ties to the Raven Queen. So there's lots of good things to pluck there. If you want to go Raven Queen route, I encourage you to like research your version of the Raven Queen. Be that Matt Mercer's from Critical Roles, or something else that's more classic, represented in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, or anywhere else. I prefer the Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes one. It makes her a little bit less of a standard death god and more of a memory hunter. This weird shadowy force trying to collect memories for some unknown reason in her enclave in the Shadowfell. An interesting third option that I'm just now thinking of because I brought up Critical Role in my brain is the forward school of Hexbladery, which is that your pact is with some other entity. It could be a god, it could be a force, it could be something that's even represented by one of the other patron types, but it just happens to be the pact. Maybe that contract is wrapped up into the material of a specific weapon. These are all cool options. Do you have your own?